Hi, this is Guy Gottschalk, president of My Digital Money. Yeah, blockchain and education, what can it do for it? So blockchain has all the usual benefits, permanency, transparency, um, the agility, it's a lot more efficient. And so it can do all of that for education. So education, one of the main problems is curriculum is so outdated with research. So usually by the time, by the time new books are published and there's a new curriculum, it's probably 8 years old. Like the new curriculum, the new research at play is already, 8 years ahead, right? And so blockchain can really help reduce that because you basically have a public forum where you can just publish into that forum, and then people can consume it. And also the review process too. All that can be put into a consensus mechanism. So you can have all of the review process kind of automated, and instead of having this third party and try to do all the steps to get it reviewed and approved and then distributed. The distribution is very slow as well. And so with blockchain, you can automate all that basically, and it's all digital. So yeah, it's just much more efficient. Also collaboration wise, it's really, it can really help improve the way collaboration is done right now, because blockchain is borderless, right? And so across states, across countries, if you wanted to publish research, right, or results of experiments, you can do that pretty quickly. And then for example, if I was doing a study for a COVID vaccine, and I wanted to see what a certain university's results were, I can access it, instead of like calling them and saying, oh, can you send me this research, and going through whatever their process is to try to get that, you could just access it. And countries can collaborate on things like vaccines for COVID and other treatments and other research in general. So yeah, collaboration can really improve, I think, with blockchain. So another thing with blockchain is that you can automate tasks. So teachers can actually program lessons into smart contracts. So if you, let's say, complete a certain lesson, maybe you did a quiz, then it'll give you the next lesson, right? And maybe that lesson is going to be more difficult if you, for example, could be more difficult if you did well, or whatever. So you can kind of automate, and you can put a lot of the lessons on the blockchain, so you can also see what other states' content is. So if for example, also transferring, right? If I wanted to transfer from one school to another, I could transfer my diploma more easily, my certifications, all that is more verifiable on the blockchain instead of having to call the school. And also you can see how different schools within different states differ, right? So, if algebra is, let's say harder in another country, you can then put that student in the right algebra class in the US, because you can see, okay, their algebra is more advanced, maybe I need to put them in algebra 3, instead of algebra 1, right? So it just helps a lot with, collaboration, with verifying credentials and all of that, efficiency and transparency too. So yeah, so bureaucracy is definitely improved could be improved with blockchain in education. So, a lot of times when someone's sending you credentials, or you want to verify someone's credentials for a job, for example, you could probably, fabricate credentials. There's a lot of instances of fraud, right? And then it also takes a lot of time to get records and all of that. So I think that a lot of that could be reduced. And and then you could just have more transparency, right? And so and it's more efficient. If you're applying for a job, for example, and you need to have a certain certification, it could be automatic, right? You basically can as the employer, you can verify that automatically if you had a public blockchain that stores all the certificates, versus trying to, get somebody to send it to you and maybe it's fraudulent. Like, how do you know that someone didn't Photoshop it or whatever, right? But with blockchain, it's permanent, right? It's like a stamp. You can't fabricate that because you have multiple copies on the distributed ledger, right? So it'd be very hard to actually change the value of something.